Hey man, just giving you a quick call. I just wanted to let you know that you are so close, dude. You're so much closer than you think. A lot of these big goals that we've had and these big aspirations, they're right around the corner for you, dude. So you just cannot give up. So stoked for you to see this. P.S. We bought a Lambo. So keep going, bro. We'll talk soon. Peace.
Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Bryson. This is the Bryson Everyday Project Podcast. This podcast is a little bit different than other ones out there. Here, I only focus on documentation. I don't focus on quality or being professional or being entertaining. If that sounds like something you're interested in, I'd love for you to stick around and give the show a listen. You can also follow me on Instagram at BRQUSE. Thank you so much. Here's the show. Yo, what is going on? Today is December 21st. 2025. It's 8:52 p.m. It's an earlier show based on the time here. I feel like I've been doing these very late consistently. So the fact that it's before 9 and I'm recording a show, that's insane. So anyway, some shitty news, and it's almost like I called this into existence, and yeah, it's all good. I understand. Business is business. Got a text from Trey. And yeah, you already know where this is going. Got a text from Trey, and he says, "Happy Sunday, Bryson. Just wanted to drop in and let you know I don't need the data from Notion or for you to work on that anymore. We ended up switching our entire system to GoHighLevel for actual AI automations, texting, etc. My plan is to still use Notion just for the sales call notes and master log. We've automated all other finances and such through another system." And I said, "Hey dude, gotcha. Thanks for letting me know. Got to be pretty exciting having all that going on now. Glad business is doing so well that you upgraded your entire system. What is the plan of attack moving forward with me?" He says, "I'm grateful, brother. I'm not 100% sure at the moment besides anything we need just with Notion questions issues. I just know that won't be 10 hours of work and just wanted to give you a heads up before we started this week." I said, "Shoot, all right, I understand though, man." So, I'm just taking that as in I no longer work for Trey, because it's just much better to just anticipate that rather than saying, well, I'll still actually get, maybe 6 hours, and that times 32, that would, I'm just taking it as in I only work for me now, which I'm still going to make money from Trey. I'm still going to have hours, still going to be doing stuff here and there. But like he said, it's not going to be 10 hours, and I don't even know how I would get 10 hours out of what I'm doing for him at the moment. I mean, I could mimic everything I'm doing for Mina for Trey and get up there, but I don't know, because Mina and Trey's systems are very different. They have a whole different back-end system for example, onboarding is completely different. Trey doesn't do half the shit that Mina does and stuff like that. So it's all good. I'm not gonna lie. I really was down for a minute today after I read that, and I really got into my head. I really started questioning everything that I'm doing, and I'm over that little cloud of doom. I'm through it. We're good now. It just sucks, But I really, and what I'm about to say. Don't feel bad. Nothing. I'm just documentation podcast. I want to share my thoughts without having anybody inquire about if I'm okay or whatever. But I really said out loud to myself, just being all sad and mopey, I said, "Damn, dude, I really don't have what it takes, do I? I am not meant to be an entrepreneur, am I?" That's really what I said out loud, just kind of moping around. And I don't know. I think that I'm almost self-sabotaging myself to some extent, but also I almost believe that certain things happen for a reason, and I believe almost that it's almost like a little wake-up call for what I should be doing and little gentle nudges in the right direction, So I don't know. It's stressful because it's money and I need money. I have a greater obligation to provide for not only myself, but for Lexi as well. Even though she has her own job and we don't share banking or anything like that. I talked about that yesterday. We do split rent, and I couldn't afford this rent by myself. She couldn't afford this rent by herself, so it's a joint effort. We both need to contribute, otherwise we're not going to be able to afford it, and then a whole bunch of mess happens and arises from there. So just shitty. That's what it is. Sorry, I'm realizing a text that I sent to my friend did not send, so let me fix that. What the fuck is going on? Well, anyway, so yeah, I got that text. It's just shitty, I really got down, and I actually reached out to my old FedEx boss, Jared. I said, hey man, any chance you're looking for a driver? And he actually said yes, which is cool. He said, nice, any chance you would, he says, hey man, Merry Christmas. We are not operating in Ogden anymore as we expanded our Salt Lake operations. Are you looking in Ogden? I have contacts there if so. I said, oh, very nice. I actually live in Farmington, so I think Salt Lake works even better if there's any options there, but Ogden works too. I see Shemper deliver in my neighborhood and sometimes e-deliver. He says, nice. Any chance you want to go to Park City? We run up to there from North Salt Lake, Park City / Heber. And I said, oh, wow, I didn't know the range. I didn't know the range from Salt Lake went clear out there. To be 100% honest, I'd rather be local in the neighborhoods with back-to-back fast stops and shorter drive to the terminal. Not trying to be a bigger and a chooser by any means, so if it doesn't work out, no worries either way. This is all good. For you, you may find people you deliver to in Park City as interesting. Pretty rich crowd. May find a good business partner. Life is full of opportunities. I said, good salesman you are. What does an average day look like going all the way over there? And he hasn't responded. And for anybody who's listening that doesn't know Park City or anything like that, Park City is a very nice place. I would say it's very bougie. There's a lot of rich motherfuckers that go there. It's just nice. It's way out of the way. They have their own little city over there. It's on the other side of the mountains from where I live right now, so it's about an hour drive. It's beautiful. It's a ski town, and full of rich motherfuckers. I do believe that Post Malone either lives there or has a house there or something like that. So, very cool. Anyway, I don't know, but I did reach out just to get the ball rolling. So if something does happen, then it's better to be prepared, I guess, than not. And I checked my finances. Everything's good. I just said, God damn it. Actually, let's just pull it up right now. Let's see. Let's run some numbers live. Let's see what would happen. So I do believe, maybe I calculated this wrong. I do believe I am okay for the next. What the hell is going on here? What the hell is going on here? Hold on, guys. I'm trying to copy paste this shit. There we go. Okay, so if I just continue working for Mina and I don't make a single dollar from Trey ever again, I am still good until the end of February. It probably could go on much longer than that. I could probably go on until July or August of 2026. Probably could. However, after the end of January, it would all be on credit. It would all be on credit cards. I don't want to do that. I don't think I'm in a position right now to where I foresee that amount of money being repaid immediately. That is, unless I get FitBiz going and I do all that. But the sudden switch for Trey to go from everything that I built to something else is I'm not going to lie, it's frightening, because had I given him everything and he paid for it, that's great. However, what I would have built with FitBiz is not even close to what GoHighLevel is capable of and what it can do and all the integrations and stuff. The approach for FitBiz would be a way to manage all the back-end shit, but it wouldn't tie into anything else. And this is very valuable, I think, for coaches in a specific area of their business. But it is frightening either way, because he just said, yeah, we uprooted everything from Notion with all the finances and the data and all that stuff. We would put it into GoHighLevel because got a whole bunch of other stuff. And there's nothing's personal. It's not as if he thinks I'm a piece of shit and thinks what I build is horse shit. It's just he's running a business, probably making close to $100,000 a month. He needs to upgrade his stuff. He needs as many of the helpful tools and resources and whatever else as he can get his hands on. I would do the same exact thing. So it's nothing personal. It's just business is business. It is what it is. So I can't blame him for wanting to make the necessary changes, you know. So anyway, I mean, it's shitty. It sucks. It's all good. But what am I supposed to do, you know? Trey, please, no. And that's why I feel so down on myself, because why am I still in this rut of working for people? Now, I get that it's my own service, my own business. I'm building the products and then servicing these people. I'm working hourly for them on the shit that I built for them. You know, maybe I'm just a freelancer. Maybe I'm not an entrepreneur. I don't know. But when problems like these arise, it's almost my default thinking of, well, I can always go back to FedEx. And I'm really down on myself right now. I'm really in my head about everything. So this might sound contradictory, or it might sound hypocritical. It might sound whatever. But that has been the plan all along. If everything goes south, I just go back to FedEx. And worst case scenario is what everybody else does anyway, which is they just have a job, they work 9 to 5, all good. So that's my worst case scenario. And so when I think about it that way, I think, well, it's really not that bad now, is it? And part of me gets excited at the thought of being able to drive a FedEx truck again, because I have never felt like that chapter has closed fully. And I don't know if that's just me being silly, but the way that I quit, I just sent a text, I called Christian. Actually, this is episode 301B. If you want to hear me quit my job at FedEx, episode 301B. There you go. Or maybe it's 300B, 302. No, it's 301B. Quit my job, for sure. And I said, hey, not coming in tomorrow. I quit. He says, hey, no worries. And then I said, all right, peace. And then he hung up the phone. And it's interesting because they want me back. They said, yeah, we're always looking for good drivers. And this happened, I don't know, earlier this year. And now I'm actually taking them up on the offer. So I don't know. But it's interesting. It's all good. It's fine. But yeah, anyway, so it's shitty. But yeah, what my brain defaults into is thinking about, well, I can always go back to FedEx. And I just don't know if that makes me feel like I don't have what it takes. That makes me feel like I am not as a risk taker as I think I am, or whatever. Makes me feel less of a man. Makes me feel like I'm not a man of my word. I'm really beating myself up about it, and I'm really just trying to be transparent and share this. Like I say always, this is the type of shit that I would want to hear from people who have made it, so I can hear their thought process and what's going through their head with what's going on in their life. You know, I mean, whatever Andy's story is, took him 14 years to have a day over $600. That's insane. 14 years. 14 years, that's to say that we're going to be on year 16 of this show by the time I have a day over $600, Now, obviously, times are much different. We have AI, we have the internet. He did it back in the day of, going door to door, telling people about your supplement store on the corner of the street or whatever. So times are different, times have changed. The timelines get cut drastically. But yeah, dude, it just sucks, I feel lazy. I feel like a fraud. I feel like I truthfully don't feel like a man. I don't know. I'm supposed to be the provider, the protector, the one who is able to give family the opportunity. I'm supposed to be the one that breaks the cycle or whatever in the family. I don't know if I have any family members at all who are up the. What I mean is anyone in the family whatsoever, and even up the chain, up the bloodline. I don't know if I have anybody at all who's done any kind of mainstream, or maybe not mainstream, whatever the word is, entrepreneurial journey or endeavor that really changed shit or created generational wealth or whatever. I don't think that exists in my bloodline. Now, maybe way up the line, I don't know. I mean, I think it's my 10-time great grandpa Peregrine Sessions, which is crazy. I mean, it's a direct shot. It's not through my grandma, through her dad and her mom, and then 3 dads and then 2 moms, and then that's who his dad. It's not like that. It's like straight up dad, boom, something like that. So it's just a direct shot. This motherfucker founded Bountiful. He was the first settler in Bountiful in Utah. Bountiful is where Lexi goes to the gym. It's where I go to the gym. And yeah, motherfucker founded the whole city. And here I am looking at a spreadsheet that shows me how much money I'm going to have because I can't afford certain things now because I don't have a job, kind of thing. And it just makes me feel like shit, dude. And so that's when I get in my head thinking, I just don't have what it takes. And I know it's not true. I know that I think I'm just being a bitch, to be honest with you. I feel like I'm being soft. And I'm just letting certain things be a higher priority in my life over things that I know need to be more important. My physical fitness and things like that, I've really let just kind of hang out. Not that I've neglected entirely, but I don't take it as serious as I once did. I have goals in my notes on my phone to have become an IFBB pro by the time I turned, I think it was 2023. The whole reason for that is because I wanted to go pro before 2020. And I have those notes on my phone. And I have, since the day that I wrote that goal, I don't feel as though I have made an inch of progress anywhere near that goal. And now, obviously, it's not my goal anymore. I don't want to be an IFBB pro. I mean, it'd be cool to be an IFBB pro, but I do think that there's a certain level of drugs that you would need to take. Now, there's safe ways to do it. However, I don't know. I think what's more attractive to me is longevity, mobility, and just being an active adult who isn't, I don't want to lose my ability to move or to twist or to run or to jump. I just can't imagine a life not being able to do that as I am now. Now, thinking now between, today and how that was for me 10 years ago, I'm sure that it's declined ever so slightly. But, I'm 28 years old. I'm still young as fuck, and I will be young as fuck for another 20 years. But 28, you could say that in 10 years I'll be 40. My belief is that's still young as fuck. I feel as though 50 years old, that's halftime. And even then, you still have 2 more quarters after that. So you could be 75. You still got a whole 4th quarter. Your whole life could change in that 4th quarter. That's just, I don't know. And if I die tomorrow, then it wouldn't make a difference anyway. So whatever. But yeah, I don't know. It's tough mentally, but I mean, truthfully, if we just play it out. Worst case scenario, I just go back to FedEx and I work 5 days a week, and I that would make more money than I do now, which is cool. But I do trade a significant amount of time. I will just play this Park City thing out. If I were to take that, maybe it would be 5 days a week, and because the drive to Park City is an hour, I would have to drive to the terminal in Salt Lake, which would be about 20 minutes, and then, do all that shit, go deliver my route, whatever. And if the route is the same exact time as it would be for somebody that's over doing stuff local to the terminal, that's just an automatic 2 hours onto my day. Not to mention we'll just call it an hour round trip drive to and from the terminal. You give traffic or whatever, parking, walk, whatever, call it an hour. So that's 3 hours of just driving. Now, obviously, FedEx is a job where you do drive all day, but I mean just the commute to and from the working area. It's one thing to sit there and drive for an hour. It's another thing to be driving for 8 hours, but you're stopping every minute or so to get out and deliver a box. So let's just play that out. Let's say that my days now become 12-hour days because I gotta have the hour round trip, and then I have the 2-hour round trip of the actual job. So that means my days become 7 to 7 p.m. And then that means that I only have from, I don't know, we'll just say 7 p.m. to midnight, because obviously I want to keep the same schedule as Lexi as much as I can. I think that's beneficial for us both. But if that were to happen, I would definitely be staying up till midnight or even 1 o'clock to squeeze out as much juice of the lemon as I could, because I would then have a job that requires me to be everywhere but my desk to work on stuff. And then that would, so it would be from, it doesn't work this way. It's not as clean as I'm explaining, but, if I 7 p.m. to 1 a.m., that's 6 hours, but that's time that I have with Lexi. So we're probably going to eat dinner, probably going to spend some time together a little bit. I want it to be that way, but, that's an hour or two. So, add in an hour for, my exercise and things like that. I only have 3 hours left. That's shitty, because right now I've got what seems like all day. And it's just shitty, dude, because I have a lot of advantage right now. I've got a lot of freedom and power and things like that. But I guess, as Uncle Ben says, with great power comes great responsibility. And maybe I'll just replace power with freedom. Is that what he says? With great freedom. With great power. He says power. I'm just going to replace that with freedom, because I do have a lot of freedom. And I honestly, now that shit has kind of hit the fan, as my mom would say, and now that shit has gone south a little bit, I do think that I have not been disciplined enough with the freedom that I do have now. And I don't know. It's an interesting concept, because as somebody who has worked a 9 to 5, obviously, I want the freedom to be able to do and work as I wish from home, do all that shit, have the freedom to go here, take lunch whenever, use the shitter whenever. I want the freedom to do that. But now that I have the freedom, it's as if I don't want the quote freedom, because the freedom is much harder to maintain if it is not in some kind of structured form where I can't fuck around. What I mean is, I almost want to lock my door and give myself the same restrictions as somebody who employed me would give me, of, you can take a break at this time, lunch is this time, you can take your second break at this time, after the 5 o'clock hits, you're off. Work overtime if you want, but you're off. I almost feel like I need to do that same exact thing for myself now, because it seems as though the freedom that I have now is too much for me to handle, and therefore it's not necessarily freedom at all. It's just one big giant time bomb. And maybe I'm just way in my head at this point, but that time bomb has exploded right in my face. Happened with Dawson. Dawson said, "Hey man, we don't really need what you have anymore." And even though he messaged me the other day and he said he's going to put me in a group chat with other coaches, I responded. I said, "Hey, blah, blah, blah." No response. All good. And I think part of me just doesn't want that to happen. Not as in I don't want to make money, I don't want opportunity, I don't want whatever, but I don't know. I almost just feel like I'm being picky in some sense, but in another sense, I truly feel within my heart that this is what I'm supposed to do. Not the specific, I need to be program designer, I need to be an app designer, or I need to focus on this. I don't know. I don't know how to explain what's in my head without sounding like a fucking weirdo. And I don't want to say this is just what I'm meant to be doing, but in some sense, I kind of do feel that way. I'm not scared, as in I'm not going to be successful. That's not a thought in my head. I am paranoid at the moment because I definitely need money, and I don't want to have to sacrifice all the freedom that I do have now to go work a job, a 9 to 5, probably, I don't know, 10, 12-hour days. And then the other part of me thinks, well, that's pretty cool for the story that I'll tell one day. I quit my job for almost a full year. Everything was great. And then shit hit the fan. I had to get another job. Had to humble myself, eat some humble pie. Took a shot to the ego. And then I was able to quit my job for the third time and final time before I saw some success. Because if you're a new listener, I did quit my job in 2020, actually right as COVID happened. And I did coaching full time. And that's actually when I saw the most success. I think my first month I made $800, second month $1,200 or something like that, third month $1,500, I don't know what it was. And then after that, I think I just took my foot off the gas, and then I don't know. I wish I would have taken better notes of what happened during these times so that I could learn from them, but I guess now that I'm aware that I didn't do that, I can do that moving forward, and all is well. But yeah, then I quit my job in May of this year. Took the deferred resignation program that was offered in this year, 2025, from President Trump. And I don't know how much Elon Musk had with all this, how much say he had in all this. I think it was part of the Department of Government Efficiency, but either way. And I've been, quote, unemployed ever since May, except I am employed, I guess, technically, because I work for Mina, Trey, Dawson, and PT Dom. Then I quit PT Dom. Oh, I forgot to mention, I actually asked PT Dom if they had a spot, if they needed anything of what I had to offer, because they reached out about a week ago asking if I could help fix something that I built. And I said, oh, yeah, no problem. I just forgot all about that. And then they messaged me again. They said, hey, could you look at it, please? And so... yeah, I just said, hey, yeah, I'm not going to lie, I've had some things blow up in my face. If you have a spot open for me to work just part-time hours again, that would be great. Just let me know. And the timing was shitty because for me to say, yeah, I'll help, and then they say, hey, it's been a couple weeks, can you help? Or whatever, about a week. And for me to say, oh, yeah, no problem. Also, you want to hire me again? It's just not a good look, and I understand that fully. Maybe they don't even perceive it that way, but that's just me thinking ahead, and I don't know, maybe it's shitty look. Worst they can say is no, I'm not worried. But anyway, so yeah, it really is not the end of the world. It just stings because of what it infers. And what it infers is that I don't have what it takes. I'm not a true entrepreneur because I would solve this problem and I would fix it and I would go out of my way to figure something out or whatever. I don't know, but then I say that out loud and I just don't feel like that's true for me. I feel like I still am working on a solution and figuring things out and going my best to do this. It's just in a different way that's kind of indirect to the problem. So I guess a better way I could look at it would be, I'm riding my bike and I got a flat tire, but rather than focusing my energy on repairing the tire and patching the hole or getting a new tire or figuring out where the next store is to get a tire or figuring out the best brands or whatever, I'm just saying, well, I think that there's a better route to take. I think bikes are great. However, what if we got a fucking car? And I think my focus has just shifted from patching a hole in the tire, a simpler task, an easier task, a cheaper task, maybe to something bigger, greater, and that's going to pay off long term. Maybe that's just a better route to take long term, but in the moment it sucks because it almost seems like an easy solution right there in front of me. But I don't want to ride a bike anymore. And even though it makes sense to ride the bike, even with a flat tire, and to do my best to ride that as far as I can before the rim cracks and dents and whatever else, I'm done with the bike and I want to get a car. So maybe that's a better analogy to explain what's going on in my head. Maybe it would be easier to just reach out to another coach and see if I can help them out or see if I can offer them something, or maybe it is easier to, I don't know, just go all in on FitBiz and just make one sale and be good for a month. And maybe it is easier to do that. I don't know. Maybe it's harder. I really don't know. But I really believe in this app that I'm creating. I believe that it can be something great for everybody. And I believe that all it's going to take is to get this in the right hands of the right people, and I don't know, hopefully it can, get some traction. And I don't want to set the bar too low, but if something is $20 a month, 1,000 people, which is, what would that be? 2% of Mina's following, 0.02 or 0.2, whatever it is, percent of Dawson's following, and then 1% of all of Trey's following. All it would take is 1,000 people to subscribe to something like this that I'm building, and then my life would fucking change overnight. Because 1,000 people, $20 a month, that's 20 grand a month. That's stupid money, if you ask me. And that's 1,000 people, and that's much easier said than done. I'm not sitting here saying I'm going to get 1,000 people by the end of the year. I'm not saying that at all. But 1,000 people paying $20 a month, that's insane. And shit, even if it's only 500, that's still $10,000 a month. And shit, 250 people, that's what I would need to make the same amount of money that I make now. So what are the chances, what are the odds that I could do that? I think very high. I just have to keep on pushing. I do believe, like I said yesterday or maybe the day before, that this is a long-term personal branding play. And it is something that I will talk about every day. It's something that I will talk about on social media and post about and share my progress and all that stuff every day. I 100% will. And the more people that I can get on there, the better. And I can obviously do some affiliate marketing. I could reach out to influencers and say, hey, I'm looking to grow this app. This is what it is. You're a perfect candidate. Every person you refer, I'll give you, 50% of their monthly recurring monthly recurring subscription amount. I'll give you half of that for the first 6 months or something like that. I don't know. So if they bring me 100 people, it's a lot of people. If they bring me 100 people, now $20 a month, that would be $2,000. And so they would make $1,000 a month for the first 6 months. So it's an easy way for them to make $6,000. So I don't know. That's just hypothetically speaking. I don't know if that's easy. I don't know if that's hard, but that sounds exciting for me to promote an app that I built that is changing my life, that is making me a better person, and then also make money off of it. So I don't know. That just sounds to me like it's a better long-term play, because it really is a personal branding thing that becomes my, Blade becomes synonymous with my name, becomes synonymous with the message that I put out, my videos, maybe the style of editing, maybe the sounds. You can do some sonic branding and whatever else, and it's, just being transparent. The Blade system, the whole framework of that is free. You use paper and pen, maybe a group chat with your friends, whatever, it's all free. You're not paying for the Blade or mental toughness or programs or anything. Oh, I guess technically you're paying for programs, but all of that is free. What you're paying for is the app and the analytics and the dashboards and the social media functionality and the ability to earn medals and the ability to share those and the ability to track tasks, all the stats, almost 1,000 stats, ability to see your friends' stats, ability to see your friends' tasks and blades, ability to participate in community blades and to do things together officially on the app with extra, I guess, accountability and functionality and automations, and that's what you're paying for. So you're not paying for the Blade framework whatsoever. That's all free. I'll give it to you for free if you want it. I mean, whatever. You just create some tasks, commit to them. Can't do anything else until you finish it. I mean, it's as simple as that. You can write it on a piece of paper. You don't need to buy anything. It's free. Kind of like the same thing as 75 Hard. Here's the whole program. You can do it. It's free. But if you want the book, if you want the app, if you want this, if you want that, by all means have it. But you don't need it. The program is free. So, yeah. That's where I'm at. And I don't know. I'm not even worried about any kind of how this looks publicly. I was thinking about it for a sec, and I thought, is this embarrassing that I just had somebody say, "Holy shit, you're doing so well for yourself. You got a Tesla. That's great. I guess business is well, huh?" That's what somebody said to me. And I said, "Yeah, dude, everything's great. I'm doing this and this and this." And then now to have to say, if, for example, I mean, hypothetically speaking, if this person said, "Oh, what the fuck happened?" That doesn't bother me. And I say that with certainty, with 100% confidence. If this person said, "Oh, what the fuck, dude? Thought business was going well. You have to get a job again? That's a bummer." I would say, "Yeah, dude, it is a bummer. It's not what I was expecting, but you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes, but not gonna give up. So we'll see what happens." I'm not worried about the public, what that looks like publicly. I mean, I don't know. That probably would have bothered me a year ago, or maybe 2 years ago, or I don't know, having to get another job after I quit, and then I don't know. I just don't think I give a fuck about what in this specific example. I just don't think that I give a fuck about what anyone would have to say, because for me to, quote, fail again and then go back to the norm means that I failed at doing something that other people don't have the balls to do. And I'm not saying I did this big grandiose thing of quitting my job and going all in on. I mean, anybody can do that, but not a lot of people do. And for me to take that risk again and still fail, I think that says more about my character and where my head is at, my skill set, my belief, my confidence, whatever, than it does about theirs. So to be judged by someone who hasn't even tried, or refuses to try, or is too scared to try, that doesn't really bother me. At least I don't think it does. When I think about it right now, that it doesn't really. I don't feel bothered by that. Because my downgrade, my failure, my whatever, my plan B, is everybody else's plan A for their whole life. And it always sounds so shitty when you say it that way, but people go to school, they get into all this debt to get a degree, to then get a job, and that's what they want to do for the rest of their life. Now, that's not a bad thing, but that is my worst case scenario, because I'm trying to escape that altogether. So for me to fail as many times as it takes to always go back to what people work so hard for, I don't know. I think it's sounds so shitty to say. I mean, how can I say this when I haven't even done anything? But I feel like it's just a different league. That's kind of how I feel. That's how I see it. If I'm willing to risk this and sacrifice this and do this and whatever else with no guarantee, whereas I can just go get a job and have a guaranteed paycheck every week, benefits, insurance, whatever else, every week, and then I get my weekends to myself. I get every night after 5 p.m. to myself. I can do whatever. I can go hang out. I don't know. I don't desire a life like that. I desire a life where I am always creating, always building, always doing something to better myself in some way or somebody else. And I want to do that always. I don't want to just sit idle and just have hobbies and just not do anything. That I don't want to do that. I want to build something and create something and put it into the world that's going to help somebody. That's what I want, and that's what makes me happy. And shit, to be 794 days in a row doing this, talking to myself at night by myself into my laptop, because I believe one time at least one person will hear what I'm saying, and maybe it'll change their perspective on something, or maybe it'll be encouraging for them to keep on going. All of that is just, I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. It also is kind of shitty that all this happened kind of around Christmas. And I can't mention anything at the moment because it's still a surprise, but there is an item for Christmas that I purchased, and I did have to put it on credit. And I'm not complaining about that, but it does kind of suck, the coincidental timing that I purchased this item. And now I have less income, so that sucks, but it's all good. But like I said, I have till the end of January before I would then have to start putting things on credit. Now that's a very loose calculation. It probably is a little bit longer, and I probably have till the end of July or August before I would not have any money and all credit cards would be maxed out. Now, again, obviously don't want to do that. But if it came down to it, I'm covered. So with that little, quote, safety net in place, it's just a little bit easier to navigate, take a little bit more risks, calculated risk. The fuck? A little brain aneurysm there. Calculated risks, take a risk, but I guess only as far as I can calculate the probability or odds of. Yeah. And then on another note, I almost enjoy, so when shit like this happens, I really am grateful that I don't have a big friend group or a big friend circle or whatever that I then have to go and explain and answer to and share the news and blah, blah, blah. If anything happens now, all I do is I talk about it here. And now that I have a girlfriend, or I have had a girlfriend for a year and a half now, I tell her, and I honestly do a shitty job at that, and I need to be way better. Part of me, I don't want to get into this. It's going to be a whole different episode. But I have a hard time telling people what I want to do and what I'm working on because for most people, I think it's hard for, and I don't say this in a derogatory sense or that people are stupid or anything like that, but the way that I perceive it is that people don't think big whatsoever. And so when you share something with other people who don't think big, being someone who does think big and outside the box and has big goals and aspirations, it's never received well. It's never met with any kind of questions. It's never met with any kind of feedback or anything other than, oh, cool. And that's where it ends. And if it even makes it that far. When people ask, maybe this is just an insecurity of mine, but even doing stuff at work, when I was working at Hill Air Force Base and I would be doing something that was out of the norm, or I did something, if everybody's using the blue tape and I'm using the gray tape, people say, what the fuck are you doing? That's crazy. That's what the hell? And then for me to even explain the thought process or to explain why I'm doing something different than what the fucking norm is, I want no part of that. I don't want to have to even explain I don't want to tell people the thought process or what I'm doing or whatever, because people don't have the same vision as you do. And that goes for everybody. Nobody sees the world the same exact way you do. Nobody has the same exact ideas. Nobody perceives things the same exact way you do. So for you to share anything, it's like a Hail Mary, hoping that they can at least grasp onto some part of your vision to then make sense of it. Because if I say, I'm not using the blue tape, I'm using the gray tape because I found out this and blah, blah, blah. And if I use this way and I peel this way, this actually happens. And the reason why I do that is because I don't want this thing to peel up and then have to re-glue later or whatever the fuck it is. I just pulled all of that out my ass. And then for someone to say, oh, well, we've always just used the blue tape. Fuck off. What was the point of me even sharing? What could I have said that would have made you say, oh, that's awesome. Great work. I don't know. That's just what I think about. And so for me to share my aspirations or my visions or goals with somebody real in the flesh in front of me, fuck all that, because I don't want any feedback from them in that regard unless they are leaps and bounds beyond where I've ever been, so they can provide actual real feedback, suggestions, and advice as somebody who's been where I want to go. And maybe that's my problem. I don't believe that I have anybody in my life that's been where I want to go. I feel like I'm a lone trailblazer, a lone wolf, navigating places and territories that nobody I know in real life has ever been. I have Mina in my life. He's a good guy. He's definitely been places I've never been in different contexts. But, when he gives me advice, I still have to filter it out of, for example, Dawson, same thing. He gave me that advice of I need to take more days off. I need to not work all the time. And I thought, dude, that is such shitty advice for me, because that's where I find the most joy. That's where I find the most fulfillment. That's where I guess I feel like me when I'm working, when I'm doing this stuff. If I just sat and just, I don't know, If I just sat at home and just played video games, yeah, I'd be having a heyday, but I would feel like a giant sack of shit at the end of the day. Or if, I don't know, maybe it's just, that's, I don't know. So every time I tell anybody anything, I just get, I'm just vague about stuff. I mean, I feel bad, but, you know, I'll have family, you know, my mom or my dad will say, hey, so what exactly do you do again? And all I say is, yeah, I just think of a spreadsheet. I just manage those for coaches. I mean, I don't do that. I don't touch spreadsheets, but it's just such an easy way to explain, paint the picture of what I do, how I do it. Now, obviously, I go into more depth than that, but I really, that's what comes to mind. Like, I do a spreadsheet and help them out with that. That's it. So my dad asked me the other day, he said, because he found out I was building an app, and he said, cool, so is this actually yours this time? And I mean, that response alone tells me that he has no idea what the fuck I'm doing, which is fine, because how could he if I don't tell him? And so I said, oh yeah, I mean, this is my first app. Everything about this app is mine. He said, oh, I thought you helped other people with their apps. Or something like that. And I said, oh no, I built a system and that helps coaches with their clients. I now give that system to other coaches and then I manage it for them. And it's kind of just, I have a few people that I help. That's kind of what I do. And that's what I said. And I never get, not that I desire it or want it or need it for any kind of reason. However, because I don't get it, it makes me feel as though that sharing any kind of information like that, I don't know, it's just like I was saying yesterday, it's just pattern recognition. When I do this is the response. It's an unfavorable response. Therefore, I don't want to do the behavior anymore. So if somebody says, what do you do? And then I say, oh, I do this, this, and this. And they say, oh, and that's it. I never want to share again. And it's not because I wasn't validated or anything like that. It's just because if you're asking me a question about what I do, and then afterwards you followed up with, oh, nice, and that's it, that kind of response to me is, oh, I don't give a shit. I could have gone my whole life without even knowing that. I don't give a damn. And to me, it's all good, but don't ask then. That's just what I think. It's literally what I think. I hate small talk. I hate I don't know. When people ask, hey, how was your day? I think, why do we need to be asking that question unless you truthfully, genuinely give a fuck? I mean, if you give a fuck, it's different. But if you're just saying that to fill the empty space or to just, we're on the phone, so you don't want to have an awkward silence, so you fuck off. Don't talk to me. Just I'll hang on the phone, we're done. And that makes me not want to ever talk on the phone with anybody or FaceTime anybody. I don't know. When I get phone calls, I get upset because I think, well, this yes or no question that this person is going to ask me could, one, be a text, and two, will turn into a 45-minute phone call, and if I try to leave early, I'm a dick. And that really bothers me. I'm not going to share names, but I was shopping, got a phone call. I said, yo, what up? Person said, hey. I said, hey, found this thing. You can get it. It's at this store. They said, oh, sweet. By the way, and then 50 minutes later, we get off the phone. No, I called them. That's right. I called them. I said, hey, there's this at the store. I know you mentioned you wanted to get it. This person said, oh, yeah, sweet. Get it for me. I'll Apple Pay you. And I said, oh, sweet. No worries. I got you. And then 50 minutes later, we're talking about whatever the fuck. And that right there makes me never want to call this person again, because my attempt to help them out with something that they are looking to buy for somebody else and to explain that this item is at this store, and if they want me to get it, I can get it for them, but you got to let me know because I'm about to check out. My attempt to do that, which should take no longer than 60 seconds, turn into a 50-minute conversation about everything but that thing that I reached out for. I just never want to talk on the phone again. I don't know. I just think about what they're thinking about. And maybe I'm just so fucking hyper aware of small things that it just drives me insane. But if I called somebody and I knew they were at the store and I knew that they were trying to check out, I would say, hey, I sounds like I can hear beeps. Do your thing. Just give me a call later, or don't call me at all. It's fine. Just want to make sure that I can come pick this up from you. End of conversation, all good. It's so rude when I used to be a cashier. When people would come through the line and they were on their phones, and I'm sitting here saying, here's your total, here's your receipt, find everything all right today, whatever, and they wouldn't respond. Go fuck yourself. That's so rude. Don't be on your phone for literally the 45 seconds that it takes to get through checkout. I told the person that I was on the phone with today, I said, hey, I'm going to call you back. I'm about to go through checkout. I can't remember what they said because I was just so frustrated that I clicked it, whatever. Anyway, I'm just venting and ranting. Whatever, I'm sorry. But yeah, this, when I do go on these little rants or whatever you want to call them, it's actually when I feel like I'm doing this podcast correctly. This is the kind of shit that I would want documented, like I've said so many times, from people who I look up to. And so even though the shit that I'm saying is from a place of irritation or anger or frustration, there's truth to a lot of it. Just really down on myself today, and it's all good. I just got to finish this app and get it out there, and we'll go from there. I'm actually doing some finishing touches on some stuff right now, just making informational pages that pop up that will explain what each page is and how to navigate it and things like that. So that way when the test people come on, they can at least have something to go off of. And that way it's a little bit less demanding for me to respond to everybody, assuming that there's questions. So going to be done soon. It's just tricky because the holidays and now the added stress of not having income from Trey, and I guess maybe I'll have to get another job. I don't know. We'll see what happens with PT Don if they respond. We'll see what happens with FedEx, see if they respond. I mean, as long as I have Mina paying me what he's paying me now, I'd only have to go to FedEx part-time, which is cool. So if I just worked three days a week, whatever, I would still be able to work the same hours I do for Mina. Probably have to switch it up around a little bit, work on the weekends. Because right now I work Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 4.5 hours each day. It gives me 18 to 20 hours. If I work 4.5 to 5 hours each day, I'm getting 18 to 20 hours per week. So, yeah, we could balance that with FedEx or something like that. Even if I worked FedEx full-time, I could just maneuver my hours around for Mina and work, for example, I don't know, 6 hours Saturday, Sunday, 6 or maybe 3 hours twice of the two out of the 5 weekday. I don't know. I guess I'm just brainstorming, but I can make it happen. And if I'm getting money from Mina still on top of a full-time job, I would be making double what I make now, or I guess triple technically now. So anyway, didn't mean for this episode to go this long. Really just wanted to get on here and say I no longer work for Trey, what a bummer, and then I'm just working on more stuff for the Blade. But I don't know, maybe I need these vent sessions because there's nobody that's going to respond and give me horseshit advice or feedback or give me the fake, oh, yeah, uh-huh, yeah, I just read right through that stuff, man. It's so hard for me to talk to anybody because I don't know, nobody sees the world as you do. Nobody has the same perspective as you do. Not the same exact. I mean, it might be similar, might have shared beliefs, but nobody sees the world the exact same way you do. And in that sense, I believe we're all alone to the extent that we allow ourselves to believe that nobody perceives the world as we do. It's probably one of the deepest things, the deepest things I've said on the show. We're only as alone as we perceive our peers' inability to relate to what we feel or see or whatever. I have to polish that off, but I'm sure that could be a nice quote. We're only as alone as we perceive ourselves to be. I guess you could chalk it up to that. We are only as alone as we perceive ourselves to be. Yeah, there's probably some truth to that. I think the problem for me is that I just assume that I assume that people don't think the way that I do, and so for me to explain something, they wouldn't understand. And that's not in a I'm smarter, I'm better, or I'm better, or I'm whatever, or better than they are, or more or less or whatever than that person. I think it's just the same way that someone would explain something to me and be completely distraught about, and for me to not even, I don't know. Somebody in my life called me on the phone, we were talking, and this person said, I spend a good majority of my time alone, and it sucks. And they kind of got emotional about it. It's hard for me to empathize with that because I like to be alone. I like doing my own thing. I like not having the constant hubbub around and having to always tend to or fix or help or whatever something for someone at some point for any reason. I'm cool not having somebody to talk to for the majority of the day. I'm cool being solo. And this has nothing to do with relationships or anything like that. What I'm talking about is if I had a job, which I do right now, where I don't have to talk to anybody, I can just sit and focus by my lonesome, and I can do that for 10 straight hours. Excellent. Super ideal. Love that. I don't have a problem with that whatsoever. Other people do. They want to be social. They want to have people they're talking to. They want to have friends. They want to have all that stuff. And that's hard if they don't. So when somebody says that it's so hard for them because they don't have this or that or the other, it's really hard for me to empathize with that, because for me, what a fucking dream, You're complaining about my dream, So it's for that same reason it's hard for me to want to even talk to other people, because they're not going to feel the same way I do about certain things, which I guess is the beauty of life. We all have different beliefs and thoughts and things like that, of course. But I don't know, I'm just talking in circles at this point. I don't know, man. I guess it's just very hard for me to feel understood. I don't think I really ever feel like someone truly gets me, because there's always some kind of smirk or laugh, or I don't know. Maybe I'm just insecure as fuck. Maybe I lack confidence a lot more than I think I do. Maybe I'm insecure and my ego is inflated, and I think I'm too hot shit, and I think I'm too smart for my own good. Actually, my grandma told me on the phone the other day that I'm too smart for my own good. The amount of times I get told that, dude. Anyway. Well, the show is way too long now. It's now 9:50. I started recording this at 8:52 or something like that. And honestly, I would like to just go to sleep and kind of start the day over and start tomorrow off on the right foot and get up early, because I haven't gotten up early once since Lexi left. I say early as in I haven't been getting up at 4 or 5. I've been getting up at 7, 8, 9. To me, that's sleeping the fuck in, and I feel gross. I mean, today I got out of bed around 9. What the fuck am I doing? That's what I'm saying, man. Why am I getting out of bed at 9? Why am I getting out of bed so late when I have shit to do, a business to build, visions to create? What am I doing? By definition, it's just clearly not that much of a priority, or it's not that important for me to want to do. If I had to get out of bed at 4 a.m. or someone in my family got shot in the face, I probably would get right the fuck out of bed. I wouldn't even think about it, because that's very important. I don't want that to happen. But for my own goals and dreams, apparently sleeping in an extra 3 hours is definitely more important, a higher priority than ever realizing my own true potential and creating something big in the world. By definition, that's what I value more. It makes you feel like shit, dude. Okay, I'm really done now. That's the show. Thank you guys for listening. Bye-bye.